Hey students, Mr. Z here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a list of data that you've collected and make a scatter plot using Microsoft Excel. First thing you need to do is open up Microsoft Excel, and then you're going to open up a blank workbook once you get there. Here we are. It's really this easy. You just need to put in the numbers that people gave you for the questions that you asked them. So let's say you asked one person, how many hours of screen time do you usually get in a week? And that person said 45 hours. The first person did, so we put 45 there. Then the second person that you asked said 50 hours. Then the third person that you asked said 60 hours of screen time per week, etc. So I'm gonna just kind of go in and fill those out. Now you're gonna want to keep doing this for everyone that you asked the question of. I'm going to stop here because I think you get the point, but you're going to want to include all the data that you got, so you'll keep going down, you'll have more than this. And the next thing you need to do is put all the answers to your second question in the B column. So let's say the first person that you talked to said that they've had 10 crushes, and the second person that you talked to said they had 9 crushes, and the third person also had 9. And then we had 8, and so on. So I'm going to keep filling those out. And the important thing is that you need to recognize that each row is a person. So row 1 right here is someone who said they have 45 hours of screen time and they have 10 crushes. So these two answers, they have to go together because they're the same person, so that they can be one dot in your scatter plot. Once you have that, making the scatter plot is really easy. It sometimes doesn't work if you don't highlight these columns. Usually it does, but sometimes there's mistakes that get fixed by highlighting these. So I'm going to highlight columns A and B where my data is. I need to insert. You can see we have lots of different types of charts that you can insert. These might be fun to play with sometime if you get some time. We don't want a pie chart. We want a scatter plot right here. And even in the scatter plot, there's a few subtypes here where they'll connect your points in different ways, and these bubble ones are kind of cool looking, especially that 3D one. But we just want this first regular option here. And there we go. That plotted our points for us. That is much easier than when we had to plot the points by hand. Let's go ahead and make this fill the space. But I did leave the data over here on purpose so that we can still see the data when we take a picture. There are a few things you need to add to really have a good scatter plot, and all the elements that you can add are in this little menu here with this green plus symbol, chart elements. So let's open that menu. We can see it already has the axes, the chart title, and the grid lines. We want to also add the axis title and the trend line. So there's 5 things that should be checked on when you look at it. Axes, axis titles, chart title, grid lines, and trend line. Now when you put up the axis title, it's not smart enough to actually give you something useful there because it doesn't know what your X data is describing. So it's describing our first question, which is how many hours per week do you spend with screen time? And then the Y data is describing how many crushes have you had since 8th grade started. The title, you can kind of be a little bit creative and clever here if you want, maybe think of something fun, but it should kind of summarize both of your questions together. So my title is going to be, does screen time lessen your crushes? And there we go. There's one more detail to add that you're going to want to have on your chart that's going to be useful later for another assignment that we'll do later. You want to put the equation on the trend line. To do that, you double click the trend line itself. That brings up some options over here on the right. There's paint options, so you can make the trend line the color that you want it, but we want this third set of options here, which is the mathematics of the trend line. It should already be set to linear, which is what we want, but if you want to explore whether maybe exponential data or logarithmic type of a pattern fits your data better, you can check that out for fun, but make sure it's set to linear when you leave. And you just need to turn on this little option here, display equation on chart. So I turned that on, and as soon as I did that, it gave me this equation here, y equals negative 0.0695x plus 11.459. So that is the equation of this line right here. It gives us a default accuracy of 3 or 4 places after the decimal. I think that's a little too much. I think, in my opinion, it's better if we clean that up a little bit and round. So 0.0695, I'm going to round that to 0.07. And then 11.459, let's round that to 11.5. That looks a little bit cleaner, and that's a little easier to read, and that's going to be easier to use for the next assignment we're going to do after this. And there you have it. So do a quick check real quick. Make sure you have all of these components. Make sure you have your title, your x-axis label, your y-axis label. Make sure you have your trend line and the equation of the trend line. And once you have all those things, then you have a pretty basic, pretty cool scatter plot. Tomorrow I'm going to teach you how to decorate it and make it have a more attractive professional appearance. So I hope you had a little bit of fun doing this. I hope you realized a little bit about how your data goes together, and maybe if your two questions are related or if they're not related at all. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. Stay curious, never stop learning.